Hi, Kaylin. It's Dad here. I'm going to read another story. This time it's going to be from Winter Stories, which has been quite a good wee book. I hope you've enjoyed the past couple of stories we've read from it. It's another short story, but this one is called A Peep into the Magic Mirror. Now again, always with me when I'm out here is Pikachu, and he's going to listen along to the story with me. And hopefully you have your Pikachu as well, and you can cuddle up and listen to the story. He seems very excited. So, let's let the story begin. A peep into the magic mirror. Jennifer woke up with a jump. She sat up in bed. Goodness gracious, what was all that noise? She reached over to her brother's bed and woke him too. Benji, wake up. There's such a noise. Benji sat up in alarm. Bells were ringing, someone was blowing a trumpet, and there was a noise of gongs being banged loudly. Oh, Jennifer, how silly of us. It's the people welcoming the new year, said Benji at last. You know, Mummy told us. Everyone was going to ring bells and bang gongs at midnight. How exciting. So she did, and I'd quite forgotten, said Jennifer. Goodness, I was awfully frightened. She got out of bed and leaned out the window with her elder down round her. There are lights everywhere, people with lamps and lanterns, and there's Mr. Brown banging his gong, and I do believe that's Mr. Trent blowing a trumpet. How funny, in the middle of the night. Then she jumped in fright because a low voice spoke in her ear. Excuse me, may I come in for a minute? They'd think they're welcoming me in, but really I feel rather scared. Jennifer drew back, wondering and a little alarmed. Who was sitting in the tree outside her window? She soon knew. In came someone who looked like a small child, with fair curly hair and a white robe to his knees, with a girdle around his waist. Benji stared at him in surprise. Why, you're just like the picture of the little new year I saw in the papers yesterday, he said. I am the little new year, said the childlike creature. I'm young now. But if you saw me next Christmas, you'd think I was as old as Santa Claus. It only takes 12 months for me to grow from a little new year to a poor bent old year. Oh dear, to think of all the things that are going to happen in my 12 months. Do you know what's going to happen then? Asked Jennifer in surprise. Look, wrap this eiderdown around you. You'll be cold. Oh no, I'm not cold, said the little fellow, and he sat down at the end of the bed. Well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I dare say my magic mirror does. Magic mirror? Have you a magic mirror? Cried Benji. Let me see it. What will it show me? All the things that will happen next year? Perhaps, said the little new year. He took a small round mirror from his clothes and held it up to the children. This is it. If you look into it, it will show you what's happening in the new year. Oh, do let's look, said Jennifer, and she peered into it excitedly. You look too, Benji. Well, look together. Isn't it funny? It shines so brightly, and yet when we look into it, it isn't like looking into a mirror. It's like looking through a window. Jennifer gave a squeal. Ah, oh, Benji, I can see you in the mirror. You're sliding on the ice. Oh, you've gone in. The ice has cracked and you've fallen in. Benji, what's happening to you? The picture faded away. Benji looked worried. Another picture came. This time it was of Jennifer. And oh dear, she was in bed with spots all over her face. She looked very miserable indeed. Oh, look. There's you, Jenny, and you're ill in bed with measles or something, said Benji. I don't like it. Another picture came of Benji and Jennifer together, and they were being chased by an angry man who looked like a farmer. Oh dear, this was getting worse and worse. Other pictures came of Benji crying big tears and holding a letter in his hand to say he hadn't passed the exam he wanted to so much. And then there was one of Jenny in party clothes having her hand bandaged, and oh dear, her lovely dress was scorched and burnt, and she was crying bitterly. Oh, don't show us any more, she said. I can't bear it. All the pictures are terrible. Surely all those dreadful things aren't going to happen to us. Well, they may, said the little New Year. He had been watching the mirror too. They needn't, of course. It all depends on yourself. For instance, Benji certainly won't fall in the pond if he obeys his father and doesn't slide on the ice until he can. But what about me and Weasels? Asked Jenny. Ah, well. You'll be told not to go play with a friend of yours who is ill, said the New Year. And if you do, you'll catch measles from her, no doubt about that. And into bed you'll go. And did you see that picture of you both being chased by a farmer? Well, you probably left his gates open or threw stones at his ducks, and that's why he's chasing you. If you're silly or unkind, this is what will happen. I see, said Benji. And what about me howling because I didn't pass the exam? Aren't I going to pass it? I do so want to. Well, you will if you work hard. But if you don't, that's a picture of yourself being sorry because you've been lazy and haven't passed it, said the New Year. And the last picture of me with my hand hurt and my clothes all scorched and burnt, said Jennifer fearfully. What's happening there? I expect you've played with matches and caught yourself on fire, said the little New Year. It looks like it. But why do you look so worried? These things haven't happened yet. But they're going to happen, aren't they? Said Jenny, beginning to cry. They're in the mirror and it's magic. You're only looking at one side of the mirror, said the little New Year, and he turned his mirror round so that the other side gleamed in front of them. Clear and empty. Those are the horrid things that the year may hold for you. Here are some of the nice ones. The children watched as more pictures came. Happy pictures of Jenny laughing and dancing at a party, of Benji riding an elephant at the zoo, of them both winning prizes at school, of Benji being clapped on the back because he had passed the exam. Much nicer pictures than the other side. But how can both of these sets of things happen? Asked Jennifer, surprised. Benji can't fail the exam and pass it too. You're rather slow at understanding, aren't you? Said the little fellow, putting his mirror away again. Any of the things might happen, but whichever of them happen in the end depends on you and your behaviour now. Don't you see? If Benji is lazy, he won't pass the exam. If he works hard, he will. So either of the things may happen. It all depends on him. And if you disobey your mother and play with matches, you'll certainly be burnt. But if you're sensible, you will leave the matches alone. And instead of getting burnt, you'll probably go to a party. Didn't you notice there was a party dress in the picture that was scorched? Yes, I did, said Jennifer. She sat and thought for a long time. I understand what you mean now, little New Year, she said at last. You mean that all sorts of things are going to happen. But we make them happen to ourselves. Oh, I'm glad I peeped into your magic mirror. Now I know what to do. But why don't you show everyone your mirror? Let them see things that might happen. Then everyone could be extra careful and be sensible, right things, and try to be good and generous. I haven't the time, said the New Year. Besides, people wouldn't believe me. I'm glad you do. I think you'll have a happy New Year now. He slipped across to the window, climbed into the tree, and slid down it. Goodbye, he said. The noise has stopped. I must go and find the 1st of January. Off he went. The children lay down in bed, puzzled and wondering, and in the middle of the wondering they fell asleep, and they didn't wake until the morning. Mother came into the room. Wake up, Happy New Year to you both, she said. Jenny sat up, looked across at Benji. She remembered the strange visitor they had seen the night before. Or hadn't they? Was it a dream? She called softly to Benji. Benji, do you remember the magic mirror? I shall never forget it, said Benji. Never, Jenny. Let's tell everyone about it. People ought to know that it's themselves that make a happy new year or a sad new year. Yes, they ought to know it, and that's why I'm telling it to you, so that you can make yourself a happy one. And what about Jenny and Benji? Well, they are sensible children, so I don't think they will fall in the icy pond, or get chased by a farmer, burn themselves, or fail their exams. But if they do, I'm sure they'll tell you. That's the end of that story. It was a really good story. It'd be really good to be able to look into that magic mirror and see what's going to happen in 2020. But we don't have that luxury. But what the story tells us is that we're in control and we need to make the right choices in life. So if mum or dad or anyone tells you shouldn't do something, then there's a good reason, and you might end up hurt, or you might end up with a burnt dress like Jenny. And that would be tragic. Anyway, night night.